Good morning, Joel. How can I help you?
So, shit, what was I going to ask you? Um, Crap. I had it all figured out and then I didn't freaking write it down. Um, Corps of Engineers, okay, customers, the Corps of Engineers on a FRQ.
You mean an RFQ, but go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I keep messing up the numbers. So on RFQ, it's a Corps of Engineers. It's a 4 overhead garage doors in somewhere, Connecticut. Is this wise to bid on now that I'm still new?
Yeah, what's wrong with four overhead garage doors?
Because I kept hearing you say Corps of Engineers are a pain in the ass to deal with.
They are. You just have to charge them extra for that.
So that's okay, done. Okay. That was my question. So past that, I'm working it. Of course, I finally got my letter figured out, and then I'm working with 2 contractors now that I just called 10 minutes ago to try to get a bid in for today at 5 o'clock.
Cool.
So there's no reason not to push because I love stress. So it's awesome.
Yeah, definitely push. Look, I just got a phone call yesterday from a guy who picked up a $100,000 job. He's gonna make 45 grand on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's happening.
This is, yeah. So this is literally remove, replace 2 by 10 and 2 by 10 by 2 inch doors. And they're saying, well, if you didn't walk it, you're gonna have to, like, dude, I'm just gonna buffer it. So that's how I'm gonna get around it, is buffer it.
Yep.
And then electrical is, they're hardwired now, so they'll have to be outlets to be able to be plugged in. So you basically have like a disconnect.
Sure.
So yeah, and then 6 controllers for vehicles, and then coordination this, safety that, done. So it looks like it's just a ton of paperwork. So
The
yeah.
Corps of Engineers always is a ton of paperwork. Plus, they usually require an SSHO, and that guy is like $1,000 to $1,500 a day if you don't have it yourself.
A what?
SSHO, Site Safety Health Officer.
So if I don't have that, so what is that, like HR for cord?
No, a Site Safety Health Officer is three things. It's a person that has three qualifications. And the three qualifications are number one, a CPR class, number two, a 30-hour OSHA, and number three, a fall protection class. And of those items, the fall
Oh,
protection class is like $2,000 or $3,000 plus the travel to get there and do the thing. I mean, these SSHOs out there, um, they charge a pretty penny because they know you're in a jam. You need an SSHO because it's a requirement of the contract. They're gonna have to travel. They're gonna have to stay in a hotel. They're gonna
is that something that I should put my time into?
I mean, look, any education in the business that you're in is worthwhile. In my day, they had something called CQC qualifications, and I always went and got my CQC so that I was qualified to, manage an on site Corps of Engineers job. Uh, Today, I would recommend CQC. I'd recommend SSHO, and not necessarily that you, but somebody on your team, and of course, in your case, it's you.
Me,
Uh,
yeah.
but
Because I remember you going through the training class, was the 30-hour and the 45-hour. No, the 30-hour, the 30-hour OSHA and the 40-hour OSHA, 45-hour OSHA.
well, I
That
don't
not
know. I mean, when
applicable.
I was coming up in the business, it was a 10-hour class. So I
Yeah,
mean,
it's up to 30 now, I think.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's something that I should probably really look into as part of put the time into that too. Because do you see this as a third party managing it, never being on site? feasible or no? 'Cause it doesn't
Well, of
sound
course
like
it's feasible. I mean, if you avoid jobs that require SSHOs, you'll never need an SSHO, right? So I
but
mean, the way I answer that question typically is that this business is what you want it to be. If you want to just sell paper to the federal government, well, become the best goddamn paper fucking seller there ever was, you know? But we were well rounded. And by the time I came into this business, we had people, you know, we had a team. Now, it's not that
right,
I didn't run a construction business on my own, I did. For Ryshon Corporation, I only ever went to one job. I explained that in the workshop. You know, the conditions were so perfect that, you know, my buddy was a pilot and we flew in his airplane. You know, and I said, hey, I'll buy all the gas, I'll buy the beer after, you know, I'll buy lunch. You know, I was just, hey, let's go have fun. And we did. It was a fun day, and that was the only job I ever visited in during that 5 years. Um, but I was avoiding jobs that were going to require, you know, whatever was required. I just didn't bid them.
right.
I only bid jobs that I knew I could just, you know, have one guy out there doing the job, one or two, you know. But and then I was coordinating the whole thing as a project manager, you know, and staying on top of guys, making sure I got 3 pictures in the morning, 3 pictures in the evening, all that kind of stuff.
Okay. So that's my, because especially starting out, it just doesn't look like I can cherry pick as much as I can a year in or 2 years in.
Sure
Because
you can.
I'm
Sure
still
you
trying to
can
break
cherry
that
pick.
cherry.
I mean, look, I got blind squirrels finding nuts like crazy. I get at least a phone call every 10 days from one of the clients randomly, you know, telling me about a cool job that they got. Um, and you know, they're single, like, let's just take the one yesterday as an example, Ryan. Okay, this guy calls me up 2 months ago. He's an electrician working for
Dude,
an,
you're right. There's a line. I'm sorry. There's a line right here that says SSHO shall be present.
yeah,
And you're talking 1,500 to 2,500 a day.
1,000 to 1,500 a day. I mean, we used to have a guy. He's running his own company now, but we used to have a guy that we'd refer, and he would travel, and he was $1,000 a day, and then he upped it to $1,500 a day, mostly because too many people are taking advantage of it, and then ultimately just decided to start his own business and go that
Do
route.
you?
But
How do you search that? Until a level 3 SSHO must have training, knowledge, and/or experience identifying hazards and implementing controls for the work being putting in garage doors.
yeah, I
But
know.
it doesn't matter. It's
Doesn't
federal
matter.
government.
Yeah. So, but how did I find that guy? I created him. I was looking for a local electrician here in Austin to do some electrical work at my house. Looked on Craigslist, found him, got to talking with him. I liked him a lot, and then I put him through my training, uh, and uh, and then suggested that he get SSHO and all this other stuff. And because I knew him, you know, but eventually that was probably 8 years ago when I did that. And then I was using him among some companies within GCExperts program. Hey, just pay him $1,000 a day plus travel expenses, and he'll go out and run your jobs. So, but there's no
So
reason why
run my job. So you're talking a safety project manager.
an SSHO superintendent.
So superintendent, project manager, and then safety. Okay. Yeah, this sounds like something that I need to take training for because I blurred past this because it's like, oh, it's another acronym with Corps of Engineers. Oh, apparently it's not because it's a level 3. Because yeah, so level 3 SSHO, designated qualified person QP or competent person CP with safety or occupational health responsibility that meets the requirements of want, and it just keeps going. Okay. Is this a job that I should just pass on because now I found something else that I don't have training in? Because if I bid this and I get this, I got to be able to find this, or I'm basically out. I'm a zero on this one too.
I can't answer that question for you. That's a business decision. That's not a
federal contract decision.
It's not a question about how something works or that
Right.
kind of stuff.
Could I find the person that does this somewhere in the United States? Is there?
I mean, I would imagine that you could find somebody if you called enough federal contractors. If got on SAM and started calling people, or looked on USAspending.gov and found some Corps of Engineers awards and called them and said, "Hey, do you guys have an extra SSHO?" And find somebody in that. I mean, look, if I have one special skill set, I talk about this in the workshop.
Right.
If I have one skill that I'm pretty goddamn good at, that one skill is what I call finding the right guy. Okay?
Yeah, like you said, you don't need to know how to do heart surgery. You hire that guy.
I'm really good at finding the right guy. But what is that? What do I mean by that? I mean, getting on the phone and just talking to people. Hey, have you ever had a job where you had an SSHO? If they don't know what an SSHO is, hang up the fucking phone and call the next guy. Okay?
Yep.
What's an SSHO? Never mind. Bye. Okay? And just making fun. Hey, have you ever heard of it? Yes, I have heard. My buddy, of the last 3 people that you did business with, who should I call if I needed an SSHO to borrow from somebody? I'd pay for him. So, probably the best in the world was my dad, but I knew I was pretty good. Here's how I knew he was better than me. I was looking for a guy to do a lift station rehab in Wyoming. In Wyoming, there's only 500,000 people in the whole state. And to find the one fucking guy in the whole state that knows how to rehab lift stations is a lot of work. And I was calling around. It took me 3 hours. I finally get the guy.
Right.
I said, "Hey, my name's Sean Reitmeyer. I do everything from wind tunnels, water treatment plants, kitchen renovations." And he says, whoa, hey, are you related to Doug Reitmeyer? I said, "Yeah, he's my dad." He goes, "Well, I just talked to him 3 hours ago." And I'm like, holy shit. My dad beat me to this guy. That was about 15 years ago. Maybe 20.
So it's just finding. Is there actual training for this?
For SSHO?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's three things. It's CPR class, OSHA 30, and fall protection class. 3M is one of the companies that puts the fall protection class on, and I think it's like $2,000 or $3,000.
So fall protection, CPR, and what?
OSHA 30.
OSHA?
Mm-hmm.
Which all should probably be, because if I'm the head project manager for this company, I should probably know my shit.
Okay. Look, everybody in the world understands that not everybody knows everything.
Right.
So, there's a lot of learning. And this is
as an investment, you use a drill 10 times and it costs less to buy it, but it's the business expense means you can
Yeah, but wait a minute. Sometimes it makes sense to rent it so you don't have to do the maintenance.
And somebody else if it breaks, then you get a new drill that you get to rent, and you get to write it off 30 times versus once.
That's right. So, I mean, look, there's lots of ways to look at this.
Yeah. Okay. And you have to have all 30. So at level 3, level 3 is probably all of those together.
Look, all of this was different when I was in this business, and so okay. I'm not current on all the safety standards of And to me, it's way more important to give you some ideas rather than just tell you the answer, because
Right.
when you do research, you learn. And when you learn, nobody can ever take that away from you.
Okay.
That's why sometimes I just give you the answer because it's experience based, and sometimes I make you think the whole process out, even if it sounds sarcastic, because that process of going through that is going to really cement it in your head that you need to look into this.
Yeah, because that's if you're given the answer, then it's just you don't remember how you got there.
That's right.
Okay.
And the answer could change. And God forbid you make a decision based on some answer I gave you that, but listen, I'm careful about that. I pick my words very carefully when I'm talking to anybody about this stuff. And because I do, I can always refer back to what I said. You can remind me of any conversation. I'll tell you pretty much the same answer every single time.
Right. Okay.
Not only that, but I record all these things and I post a lot of them. So if anybody was ever, one guy tried to catch me in a bullshit situation. I said, "Well, let's pull it up," and I was right.
Yep. There it is. Cover thy ass.
Well, it's not even cover your ass. It's that with a lot of this stuff, it's public information, and and I like to teach from public sources as best as I can, uh, because that way people can look this up. I want people to learn.
Right. Okay. Okay. So, all right. So I just gotta find. So if I'm on USA Spending, USA Spending, USA Spending.
Okay, so it's usaspending.gov, and so this
Right.
is just one suggestion. Is
Right.
I think that there's a way to pick up agencies or search by agencies, then pick the Corps of Engineers, and then look for recent awards from the Corps of Engineers, and then just call a few of those guys and just ask them, hey, do you guys use SSHO? Where do you get your SSHOs? Did you guys home grow your SSHOs? And look, you spend an hour doing that, having those kinds of conversations, you're going to learn something. You're going to learn something more than I know because I've never sat down and done that. Like I said, I just grew my own.
Right. Uh, Corps of Engineers,
And by the way, the reason that I know what I do know is because, uh, as I've talked about pretty openly, my wife wanted to start a federal contracting office. And during that whole journey that she went down, she came across some SSHO requirements. But another thing is, another one of my clients had become an SSHO, and so I had her talk to him and the process that he went through and all that kind of stuff. And so she learned about it, and she's telling me about what she learned from him.
So was it too much to learn versus to just hire?
The problem she ran into was that the next uh, fall protection class was in Houston, but it was like 3 months away. You couldn't just go into it tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. And this is definitely not an online thing. This is probably more of an in-person thing.
It was definitely an in-person thing.
Yeah. Okay. 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 Done. I'm on the path now.
Yeah.
One more thing to learn. Good enough. And this is not, this is not as easy of a of a off ramp as it looked at the very beginning 2 years ago. You got to know what you're doing. This is not just, oh yeah, here, just fill this out and you're good. I mean, you
yes and no. I mean, look, on my GCExperts.com/about page, I talk pretty extensively about people who just look at this as willy-nilly, and I'm just going to go out and make a bunch of money, and it's all about and I say on there, if I'm describing you, you're not a good fit for this.
Yeah, no, so I'm like an overthinker, and you're trying to think, here's the money in the bank, but at the same time, you got to earn it to get there. This is U.S. tax dollars, and
But that's not necessarily true because I'll just give you an example of Lamart Baldwin. Lamart's one of my clients in my class. I want to say a year and a half ago, he contacts me. He says, "Hey, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he basically told me that God has told me I need to be a federal contractor." And I'm like, "Okay, what have you been doing?" "Well, I've been doing paperwork within the federal government. I am a federal government employee." I said, "Okay, what do you know about construction?" "Well, I don't know anything about construction." "Okay, well, listen, this is going to be hard because, you're going to have to learn a whole bunch of vocabulary like cubic yards of concrete, what PSI stands for, slump test. You're going to have to learn, PVC pipe, black pipe, copper pipe. You're going to learn squares of roofing, what that means."
Right.
He says, "Hey, I'm just telling you." In fact, I really tried to talk him out of it, and he was on a mission. So he joins the workshop, goes through the workshop, and then he joins the membership program for an entire year. So the guy gave me $10,000.
Right.
6 months goes by, I never really hear anything from him. And he calls me up and he says, "I haven't won any contracts." I said, "Well, how many have you bid?" He says, 3. And I'm like, "Dude, you should have bid like 100 by now." "Well, I don't feel comfortable bidding things I don't know what they are." So, "Hey, listen, what's your risk for turning in a bid?" "Oh, yeah, it's 0. "Okay, here's your homework, Lamart. I want you to go bid 3 jobs a week, every week, but you can't do any research on them. You have to be able to tell me you don't know what it is and you don't know how much. Just turn in a bid." He calls me up 2 weeks later. "Hey, I got one. Tell me about it." "I got a siding job. I got it for $48,000. The guy's gonna do it for 19." "Great." Calls me up a month later. "Hey, I got one." "Great, tell me about the job." "It's a couple air conditioners. I bid it for 60. The guy's gonna do it for 35. "Hey, that's a great win." Calls me up a month and a half later. "I got another one." I don't remember what the third one was. Didn't matter. He'd gotten 3 jobs. They're all profitable. The guy's super excited. Never had a conversation with him about SSHO.
Never. How did he avoid it?
We'd have to ask him. You want me to get him on the phone?
Is that a thing?
It can be if you want it to be.
Sure. Yes. Because then why couldn't I do the same thing?
There is no reason.
Because it is still an FRQ. I can back out of it.
There's no such thing as an FRQ.
Sorry, RFQ. And it's written right in front of me. It's an RFQ. So as an RFQ, why couldn't I just do the same thing? I'm reading in but see, what I'm doing is I'm pulling apart, like a general contractor that's probably the problem that I've got is I am looking at all the details before I bid versus just bidding and then gambling.
What are you gambling if you can withdraw your bid?
But that's my mindset. That's the mindset that I've got. I'm still young at this to where I'm still pulling information from how I did it to where here's a new path now. That's the problem, and I think my head's getting in the way of it.
Are you at any risk if you turn that garage door bid in for $98,000?
No, because it's an RFQ.
Okay, and if they call you, and you find out that the garage doors are $5,000 a piece, how motivated would you be to find an SSHO that day?
Very.
Is there a better word than very?
Highly motivated,
Intensely motivated.
intensely motivated to do 10 minutes of paperwork for $50,000, $40,000. Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
then why can't you? So tell me why you even need to talk to Lamar. I'm telling you that's what he did.
Then there's no reason even there's so he never came across a need for that for an SSHO.
I'm just telling you that he and I have never had a conversation about SSHO. I 100% guarantee that.
And you're saying that only here's the caveat is you're saying that the Corps of Engineers, that's going to be one of their things is an SSHO.
Maybe not on every job, but
Most.
look, I brought it up because you told me it was a Corps of Engineers job, and then I said
Yep.
something about it, and then 2 minutes later, you're reading to me about
Yep.
it.
And there it is. Okay, done. No, I will, because that's worst case is like I don't need to go get a PhD in micro something where you can find somebody who's gone through the schooling, has the degree, and you can just buy some of his time, or somebody who he went to school with time.
There you
It's
go.
just it's resourcing. So technically, answer me this then, because this probably got covered in the training. Do I even need to reach out to contractors and waste their time bidding on something that I don't actually have in hand yet? That's just words on paper.
No. The answer to your question is no.
Okay.
But I'll tell you that I spent a lot of my career making phone calls like that and talking to people about jobs, and I learned a lot.
Right.
Okay? I've done it both ways. And I'm certainly look, Lamart was a special use case in the sense that I'm not even sure he would have known how to ask the right questions when he was picking up the phone and calling people. I'm not even sure he was picking up the phone and calling people. All I knew was the guy had only bid 3 jobs in 6 months, and I needed to give this guy some homework
Okay.
to get him in the process of just filling out paperwork over and over and over again. Now, you're a little bit different. I believe you've turned in some bids. Okay? And so,
But I did not have my technical, and so my bids, I started looking at I went back into Bid Tracker on my saved, and I looked into the folders that I had bid on, and at the very bottom pops up L&M, and I had not covered that. I
okay,
did
so
not.
what you're telling me is that you had not turned in responsive bids. Okay,
No,
and
I
that's
had turned
fine.
in
It's a learning
partial.
lesson. But
Yeah.
but the fact of the matter is you've turned in bids.
Oh
And,
yeah, and
and
with it was a scary button to hit too.
that's okay, but the fact is that you have, and that's different from
Yeah.
him. And so I'm handling this conversation a little bit differently with you, but there are some similarities.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Okay.
and you have, knowledge of the construction industry that he just didn't have.
Right. Okay. Because that's one of my things is like, hey, here, I've got all this information, just like you said. You've got all this information. Ask me any questions. Here's all this. And it's just that whole most contractors, which I get, hey, I'd like to come out and take a look at it, which I get. And it's me trying to say, hey,
Suppose you did go out and look at it, and you get condition A and condition B. All right, tell me what condition A would be, and tell me what condition B would be. Okay, and then I evaluate how he answers that question. Okay.
but here's the challenge. I'm trying to bid this garage door project. It's due today at 5:00, and there was a walk 2 months ago, or a month ago, 30 days ago.
How does that change anything?
No, it doesn't change a single thing. But a normal general contractor installation company for garage doors wants to physically look at it, measure it, and then be able to bid it. Versus here, I'm going off of my caveat B is I'm going off my experience. This is what it's cost before.
Okay. Are you on a cell phone or are we talking on the computer?
I'm on a cell phone.
Okay. Can you? Um, is there a way that we can conference call any garage door company in the entire country, and I guarantee you, within 3 phone calls, I can find a guy that would be willing to talk numbers over the phone without looking at a job.
But see, that's what I'm trying to find.
I'll just
I
tell.
keep
I'll
I
just
keep finding the guys who like, well, we can send a tech out in a row, like in a row.
Except that you're not pushing back and saying, hey, suppose you did turn a guy in. I mean, right here it's saying it's a 10-foot garage door. I'm not
Right.
asking you to send me a quote. I'm just saying, hey, off the cuff, if you had to
How
replace
much?
this garage door opener, how much should I allocate in there roughly? Just pick a number, even if it's.
That's the phrase I have not used. Thank you. That's the phrase I did not use. Say you're looking at a 10 by 10 door and it's doing this, this, and this. How much do I allocate for that piece? And then I multiply it times 4.
I want to be the easiest person you talk to today about this thing. And, I just want to have a 2-minute conversation. You just throw me a number, something that if I called you up 90 days from today, hey, and look, I'm telling you, I only win 1 in 20. I'm probably not even going to win this thing. That's why I want to take so little of your time. I want just an answer based on your experience.
Because I don't want to waste your time with the proposals, with all the sitting down and the.
That's right.
I did. Yeah, that. Okay. Those are phrases I've not used. Okay.
If you go back and listen to my script, it includes that. Hey, just give me a number off the cuff that if I called you up 90 days from today and said, hey man, we got the job, I know what I've said.
I remember hearing that now. Yep, I remember hearing that. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. I just got a missed call while we're talking, so I'm gonna call, have that conversation. I just need 2 minutes of your time. This is what I'm looking for. How much do I allocate for this? And then I'm gonna multiply it times 4 times.
Well, you can do
Then
whatever you want.
then we'll change it. Then we'll change it because I'll buffer in the variable of it's not within 30 days.
Good luck with your calls, man.
Done. Thank you, sir.
Bye.
All right.